Women were seen as caretakers, a nameless person in society, without any opportunity to voice their opinion in government, let alone the right to vote. The Seneca Falls Convention all began when two ladies were told to sit at an off section at an anti-slavery convention in London of 1840. The significant two ladies were Elizabeth Stanton and Lucretia Mott, and boy did they choose the two wrong ladies to disrespect. Miss Mott was a Quaker minister, a feminist, and an abolitionist. She believed, of course, that all women were and should be treated equal. Mott was admired by Miss Stanton, and after this situation, these ladies talked about a possibility of a women's rights convention. They said enough was enough. Unfortunately, no action was taken until 8 years later. And once again, they said enough was enough. They met with ladies like Martha Wright and Jane Hunt, and they actually planned to do this convention in 5 days. They did not prepare for it at all. These ladies spread the word as quick as possible. They placed a small notice in a local paper. They knew it's going to be a small convention, but it was a start. No one spoke about the women's right at all. And a perfect place to put it was the Westland Chapel. This chapel was known as a local safe haven for anti-slavery and political rallies and free speech events. On July 19th and 20th of 1848, this was the actual location of the Seneca Falls Convention. There were 300 attendees at the convention. Two important ladies were Elizabeth and Lucretia, of course. However, 40 out of the 300 attendees were actually male. That is a low number, however, it's a beginning. This showed that there were men that actually started committing moral reform. They actually saw these women, whether wives or sisters, they were actually humans, and they should be valued. Amongst the men, there was Frederick Douglass, a freed slave and a newspaper editor, who argued for their approval for resolution and convinced the audience of its necessity. Frederick Douglass stated that, at any rate, seeing that the male government of the world has failed, it can do no harm to try the experiment of a government by man and woman united. This convention listed 18 grievances, 11 resolutions, and demanding the recognition of women as equal members of society. The most controversial, which no figures, was the 9th resolution, which was elective franchise, and in other words, that meant the right for women to vote. These lists of grievances, resolutions, and demands were actually a part of this Declaration of Sentiments. The Declaration of Sentiments was actually based on the Declaration of Independence. These resolutions were equally debated. However, the 9th resolution was always still controversial for many years to come. And because most of the attendees were Quaker, and Quaker men often declined to vote, it didn't really matter. The ones that actually had their voice actually valued had to sign this paper, of course. However, the only issue was that most of them actually got ridiculed for believing that women should be given rights. And in that case, a lot of people actually took off their names. Even Miss Stanton was criticized. However, she valued the attention because it made women and men to start thinking, which of course leads to progression. This was a huge turning point in history, and this was the beginning of women's rights. The Declaration of Sentiments had a great impact on the social and political structure of the company. It became the national blueprint of the women's rights movement for the suffrage movements, which gained actual national attention. This definitely had a lot of people thinking because this led to many suffrages, many protests, many arguments, and many resistance because women were and needed to be seen as equal. I know it's not the greatest example, but Hillary Clinton became the first woman from a major party to win enough delegates to secure her party's nomination. Clinton even mentioned this convention because this was the first time in history that any kind of declaration occurred. I know I sound a bit dramatic, but if this convention never happened, who knows if Miss Clinton would have been able to have gotten to a position like this. Overall, one should understand the power of words. Yes, it might not change anything at the moment, but you do not know what rippling effect might occur just because of one action or one word or one protest.